Audio article by the Common Constitutionalist entitled The Right to Bear the Constitution, or at least review it. And oh, by the way, Happy Memorial Day. Many Americans suffer from a common phobia. No, it's not the very reasonable fear that Democrats might run the country. That's not a phobia, for it's not irrational. No, they suffer from an irrational fear of guns. Guns are not inherently scary. They're just a tool, like a screwdriver or a leaf blower. You've heard the old saying, the right tool for the right job. You wouldn't use a gun to blow leaves around your yard, and thus you wouldn't use a leaf blower to defend yourself. You could try, but I'll bet it won't go well. Yet over the years, more and more citizens have been purposely conditioned to think guns are scary. Thus the gun-free zone was established. These days there are more and more gun-free zones than ever. Yet economist John Lott found that, quote, since at least 1950, all but 2 public mass shootings in America have taken place where general citizens are banned from carrying guns. In Europe, there have been no exceptions. Every mass public shooting, and there have been plenty of mass public shootings in Europe, have occurred in a gun-free zone, unquote. But you won't hear that fun fact from the anti-gun lobby, will you? We hear that restaurants like Starbucks, Chipotle, and Panera Bread, and chain stores like Target's have also become gun-free zones. Yes, Target allows men and little girls in the same dressing area, but won't allow guns. Ask a mother or father which is scarier, a law-abiding person with a gun, or a creepy old man watching their daughter undress. Although it's a stupid policy, I agree with them. They are private businesses and have the freedom to invoke such a policy. What bothers me is those on the right who complain about it, not regarding these restaurants or stores specifically, but how they have mistakenly framed the argument, and hopefully it's just a mistake. A few years back, Starbucks made the announcement that they were going gun-free. Steve Doocy and Brian Kilmeade on Fox and Friends were discussing guns-free zones in general and Starbucks specifically. They both agreed that in a state where open carry is legal, people should have the right to walk into a Starbucks with a gun. Shockingly, I heard Glenn Beck say something similar. Can you see what's wrong with this argument? Because it leapt out at me. Has anyone read the Constitution lately? Has anyone read what the founders and the authors of the Constitution said about guns? I was stunned when I heard, if a state permits open carry, from learned men and advocates of the Second Amendment. How did they miss this, or do they just not listen to their own words? How dare any state in the Union attempt to, or already successfully usurp the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution? This is clearly illegal. It's like saying if a state has free speech laws, it's okay to speak out against this or that. The very premise is absurd, and no one would stand for such usurpation or abridgment of the First Amendment. It's ridiculous and clearly unconstitutional to tell me I can't bear my firearm. And for those who are unfamiliar, to bear is synonymous with to carry, either openly or concealed. They made no distinction, and neither the founders nor the Constitution ever mentioned anything about licenses or permits. Putting aside that rant, it's even more absurd to mandate military bases as gun-free zones where personnel may not even carry their own personal firearms. Many blame the Clinton administration for this, but it was actually a Department of Defense directive signed into law in 1992 by the kinder, gentler George H.W. Bush's Secretary of Defense. Are we not the laughingstock of the world, where soldiers can't carry their own guns? Oh wait, they have a gun. Remember the 2013 D.C. Navy Yard mass shooting? One of the parents of a Marine at the D.C. barracks said that her son claimed they had weapons, but, wait for it, they were not allowed any ammunition. And there's the punchline to the sick joke that are gun-free zones. The Marine went on to tell his parent that 3 people had been shot at the time, and they could have prevented the rest from being killed if only for bullets. Folks, this stuff is all common sense. More guns in the hands of the good guys and girls is the only deterrent for heinous acts. These types of killers are cowards. and wouldn't dare try this in a facility where armed citizens are known to be present. Thank you for listening.